thank you, gentlemen. That was wonderful, and thank you to everyone for joining in. As we get this evening started, I want to welcome everybody tonight. This is a truly magnificent event. I want to welcome our alums. I want to welcome our friends who have been part of the St. Joseph and VASJ family, whether they are from VA, whether they're from other schools, whether they're just from the community. I want to welcome Coach Gutbrod's extended family that are here tonight, and his immediate family. All but a couple of his kids and their families are here with us this evening. So thank you all for being here with us tonight. To set the tone for this evening, I want to share very briefly how this evening got started. Last fall, Coach was up and went to the game against Trinity that we had. And I talked to him after the game, knowing that he had gone down to Florida this past year, and asked him how things were going. He said, "Oh, pretty good, pretty good." And I told him I was going to be down in Florida in November. Would he like a visit? He said, "Yeah, that would be nice." And so I went and I spent a couple days with him in Florida. And when I went, there were guys up here that knew I was going down and sent me some emails that I could carry with me to give to him. And I shared those emails with him, and he read them, and he was really moved to see that there were guys who said, "Thank you for shaping my life." And over the course of dinner, Chip and Coach and I were in this ribs place called Kojak's in Palmetto, Florida, and we started talking about how it's more than just a handful of guys that feel this way. There are 4 decades plus of people whose lives have been shaped by this man, and who would love an opportunity to say thank you to him. And so this evening really was launched at that dinner in Florida last November. And we found somebody who could take the lead on making this evening happen. And you see that we have a magnificent evening for us all to enjoy. I think what is most rewarding to me tonight is to see not simply the accumulation of alums over the 40 years that Coach Gutbrod was at St. Joe's, but that current students at Villa Angela St. Joe's, current football players are here, and even better still, the sons of football alums who are now football players at Villa Angela St. Joe's are here tonight with their alum parents, and that is a truly spectacular thing. Can the VASJ students that are here tonight please stand up? Look around, you guys, because this is your legacy that you're inheriting. Hold the mantle, carry the mantle well. I mentioned that in order to make this night happen, we needed to find the right person to get us going and to manage it all. And I'm very pleased that we had Mike Romeo from the class of '88, known affectionately to all as Romeo. And he took the lead on this, and he's made this night happen. And before the evening gets away from us, I want to express our appreciation to Mike for all that he has done. I'm going to turn the microphone over to him, but Mike, can you come up here, please?
I wanted to give a little background as to how this, in addition to what Brian said, as to how this evening started. One night I received a call from Brian, and I didn't know it was him at first. He had left me a voicemail, and I saw the phone number come up on my phone. I'm like, I don't recognize the number, thought it was a prank call or whatever. But then about 30 seconds later, my phone was buzzing that there was a message. So I listened to it, and he asked me if he could tempt me into doing something for the school. Tempt. So I called him back. Within about 30 minutes, we had the basics of tonight all worked out. Met with him the Friday night following at St. Joe's game, basketball, which our guys won, by the way. And what you see tonight is the fruits of that labor. During the spring of '87, I had met Coach Gutbrod, and for the first time, it was kind of like a daunting task. I had mentioned to some of my classmates that I wanted to get involved in something at the school. Some of them mentioned different clubs and whatever, but a couple of them mentioned the fact that get involved with the football team. They always needed help, that kind of thing. So at the time, I had only met Mr. Gutbrod, the teacher. I hadn't met Coach Gutbrod. Yeah. So I hunted him down, and he was out on the field, and he was standing in what I would refer to his usual pose. Arm wrapped around, hand in his face in his hand. And usually at that point, he had given one of you guys a good butt ripping. So I come up to him and ask him if I could help out, and then sooner or later, I was working with the equipment manager at the time. With Coach Gutbrod, you were never just a student. You were a student athlete. Being as though I was still a student, I had school rules to abide by, as well as all of you. If you wanted to play football, you had to have good grades. Coach Gutbrod said on several occasions, you're not going to be just a dumb jock. I was no exception to the rule. Player or equipment manager, school rules were for everyone. And I learned a long time ago, while being on your staff, that hard work and dedication does pay off. As I look at all of you tonight, I'm filled with a great sense of pride. Being the equipment manager for St. Joe's, I had a background seat. So I got to see a lot of you grow from being boys to young men. And I watched your talents grow, your skills sharpened, and your minds broadened. I've talked to many people about this event, and when they hear where I went to school and who I went to school with, they always ask me, were those guys really that good? Yes, they were that good. Three of the students that attended the school, I'm happy to say, became professional athletes. Eric Riley, Desmond Howard, Elvis Gurbrod. And each time I watch them play, I think to myself, yes, they are that good. And it was because of you, Coach, and your coaching, and the way they learned, the way they played, the way they schooled. It's all because of you. Coach, I owe you a lot for being a part of my life and being the person that you are and never changing. Thank you all again, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Now, we have a video for you that Neil McCormick has put together. And the first time I saw it was in Brian's office, and I nearly, spat out what I had in my mouth because it was so funny. Neil's gonna play it, and I'm just gonna let you see it for yourself, and you've been warned. I'm sorry.
He does on the field. Painful last night of the regular season was bad, so made me stop and go.
I was probably, my brother Bob was a senior, so he was 18, and so I was probably 11 or 12, right in that area, and good friends with the coach Bill Gutbrod. His kids were my age, so I would go in the locker room before the games, before my brother's games. And so I was I went in the locker room at halftime before a particularly tough game. Bill Gutbrod, one of the most winning coaches in high school in Ohio, great guy, seriously old school, big time old school. So we go in the locker room at halftime, and I go in there quick, and it was not a good game at this point. And I jump up on top of the lockers. There's not a lot of room in there, and I don't want to be in the way of these, to me, gargantuan guys, all coming in sweaty and dirty and such, and they're sitting there, and their heads are hanging a little bit. And the coach walks in, Bill Gurbrod, and I know I'm going to St. Joe someday, and I know this is the guy that's going to coach me. And he just walks up and down between the benches where the guys are sitting looking at him. Just looking at him, not saying anything. Everybody's starting to get a little uncomfortable. They just walk in, and I'm scared to death, trying not to move on top of the locker. And then he just goes, "Where's the blood? Where's the blood? If you can't make them bleed, cut yourself." And I couldn't have not moved. I was scared to death. And then he just went off into a rant about playing. And, he got everybody pumped up. But, what a way to start off, the halftime speech about if you can't make them bleed, cut yourself. Oh, my God. I'm up there looking for a way to start bleeding for him. Look, Coach, I'm bleeding.
That is
that's
tremendous.
great.
Yeah, you were warned. Now I'd like to introduce tonight's Master of Ceremonies. He is from the class St. Joe's 75, attended Notre Dame University, played for New England, the Raiders, and our Cleveland Browns. During that time, he was a 3-time Pro Bowl selection. In 1989, Bob attended our state championship dinner at school and did something to this day I will never forget. Bob was introduced, walks up to the mic, a cameraman from a local TV station just pops out of nowhere, plops down, turns his lights on, and Bob says, "This is Bob Gurbrod coming to you live from St. Joseph High School in Cleveland, Ohio." And Bill just sat there and went, "Oh my God." So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bob Gurbrod.
And Mike still went to St. Joe's. You didn't check. It took a lot of convincing, though. You were shaking for weeks. "Bobby, did you cut yourself?" "Yeah, you little punk. Want me to cut you too?" "Okay, if you have to." First off, I got to, and I know this is all about Coach Gutbrod today and the amazing accomplishments and people that we've gone through and the number of students, but I will say this, one of the things I like about coming to these events where you have lots of years represented is that as old as you feel, when you're wandering around and you look in a mirror, you come to these and you always realize there's older people. I'm like, hell, there's a class of 70 singing. They sing good, they look old. So, but good for your age, I have to say. And sing like angels. Anyway, to continue the story about the blood, and I will tell you this one first before we move on to our different speakers. The blood thing was very real, and he absolutely loved it. Now, at practice one time, we were doing a kind of a Oklahoma drill. We'd have a guy on defense or an offensive lineman and a running back. And we go at it and try to, the defensive guy tries to shed the offensive guy and then tackle the running back. I get up there one time, and this is in the days when they just started coming out with something besides suspension helmets and, quarter-inch foam. We had a thing called water helmets. They had little packs of glycerin in them, like water. And so they were a lot heavier than you were used to wearing. But they're supposed to give you a lot of good support. And I remember I got rid of my guy. Gary Monda was running up the middle, and I put my face in his chest, snapped him back. He landed on his back, and I was on all fours on top of him. and I started feeling like dripping. And I looked down, and there's this puddle starting on Gary's chest. And I go, wow, that must have broke my helmet. And as I'm getting ready to get up, all of a sudden, the puddle started turning red. And all of a sudden, it's a puddle of blood. And I went, oh my God. And evidently, when the pad broke, the shell of the helmet came down and cut it. And of course, anybody who plays football probably has one of those and knows when they first got it. But instead of complaining, instead of doing anything about it, instead of wiping it off, I actually went and stood next to Coach. I had blood coming down here all over the place. It was on my jersey, and I just stood there. And he kept looking the other way. And finally, he just goes, oh, geez, Bob, that's the way you hit. And I felt wonderful, and then I passed out. Somebody help me. The hospital's right there, I swear to God. Stitches. But anyway, I'm sure there's going to be lots of good stories as we go on, and I'll tell you, you remember them. The one thing about Bill Gutbrod and about the great people in your life is that no matter how old you get, you remember the things that they say. You remember the things that they do. And they do become, as Mike said, they mold you, they shape you. And this is certainly the thing that Bill Gutbrod did, and whether you liked it or not. We had some nuts. You hired some crazy guys for coaches. Remember that, what was that, Wiglicky? Remember that guy? The guy was nuts. He named the defense the Huns. And we're like, what the hell's the Huns got to do with Vikings? I'm pretty sure they're German origin. Vikings are up north. I'm sure, I guess they could both be considered Aryan. But so, he does that. We got little arm pads. And he'd stand on the back of the sled, the 7-man sled. And he'd just sit there and yell, come on, and he'd hit it. And every once in a while, we'd hit it so hard that he'd fall off. And we'd keep pushing. And we're not supposed to stop until he blew the whistle. And so we'd keep pushing, and as I'm pushing, you look down, all of a sudden there's a foot. And then you hear the whistle, and it goes, all right, next group, and he's underneath it. He fell off, and we ran him over. But he didn't complain, didn't stop. He just finished the drill and keep going. He also had a thing that he liked he had a piece of hose that he folded in half and had it taped up. And he used to, when we were on defense, we were standing there waiting for the offense to come out. They would, as they'd come up behind, he said, whatever side of the head you feel the tap, that's the side you're getting blocked from. I want to see you spin through it. And so we're like, oh, okay. So we're waiting, and all of a sudden, whap! And it was more than what I thought should have been a tap. And the thing, you're supposed to react pretty quickly. But it was like a stagger, and then whoa. But after that, everybody had their shoulders pads up like this. We had some great people molding us. Anyways, let's start with this is truly an amazing story with so many years being represented and so many years Bill Gutbrod having coached. And it's so fitting that we have something like this. There should be more people. I mean, that you could probably still keep coaching. No? He's done molding. Anyway, we're going to start with the 1950s speaker. Class of 1954, Joe Toppoli.
Bob, just one comment. We are the older people. And the class of 54 is at the table to my left. They just get up and you can see they've aged very well. our class had the opportunity to be the first football team Bill Gutbrod ever coached. And he learned quite a bit in those 4 years, from our freshman year to our senior year. We were quite a class in the fact that we may have lost some football games, but we didn't lose too many fights. And it was a very difficult period of adjustment for Bill. But Bill, outstanding as far as his qualities, outstanding football coach, and brought out the best and did his very best every day in his life. And one of the things that I most remember Bill, and I'll never forget it, is he taught. Every day was a teaching day. He was a daily communicant. He believed in his church, and he taught us by example. He gave us the example to be successful, and that really helped us through a lot of problems that we have later on in life. Bill, I think most of you people have a background. Bill was a paratrooper in World War II. And we just talked to a guy that knew one of his friends, and they were behind enemy lines, and he got the nickname, they called him the Pope. That was his nickname. But anyway, he survived World War II, and of course he went on, and he was the captain of the University of Dayton football team. And fortunately, St. Joe's hired him, so they hired the right guy. There's no question about that. No, we had some pretty good assistant coaches as well, and I see some of the assistant coaches who are in attendance tonight. Bill prided his football teams on hitting. You had to learn how to hit, and down through the years, if you played St. Joe's, you knew you were going to get hit pretty good. It was always a very tough ball game, and St. Joe's, one of the things, and it still is prevalent today, is the fact that when they play somebody in football, they hit pretty well. Now, I'm not going to make a lot of comments this evening because our class in the 50s would like to present Bill with a plaque, so at this time I'm going to call up Joe Janis. Joe, would you come up at this time?
Joe, it's Joe Juska.
Oh. Okay, I was never too good with names. Okay, Bill, would you like to come up here?
Coach, this thing on my nose is what I got in a scrimmage in 1953 when Joe Topoli's sucker punched me. Coach, on behalf of the class of '54, I got a little editing help from Bill Strong, and Charlie Grosso helped with getting all the names down, and Joe Topoli approved it all. So this is official from our class. It says, "In the beginning was Gutbrod. The greatest of journeys begins with the first step, and that first step, taken by the St. Joe's football team, class of 1954, established a tradition that grew into a nationally recognized powerhouse led by Coach Bill Gutbrod. Toughened by the pit of blood, and comforted, though, by the supportive phrase, "shake it off." We grew from awkward beginners to football Vikings. Coach, you served as a personal guide and strong role model in our development. Your presence will always remain with us. We love and appreciate you, the boys of '54. Coach, it's a real honor to present this to you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Comes from the heart. God bless you.
All right, Joe. Many thanks. Thank you. Thank you.
This is yours, Coach.
Okay.
Would just like to comment, this night is long overdue. It should have happened a long time ago. And we got to get in the mode that we take care of the people that work at our school. the coaches deserve more than what they get at Villangela St. Joe's. And I think nights like this make it worthwhile. We have everybody coming together, and we have to bond a little more because we got a big job on our hands. We got to keep that school open. And the only people that are going to keep that school open is us, right here. I look on the other side of town, and I always see that other school with the green. But anyway, they've done a fine job. And they continue, because they've done a fine job, they had a great alumni. But St. Joe's has also faced a lot of problems in the past as far as the dynamics of the neighborhood changing, and a lot of things have happened to the school. But if we're going to continue to stay in business, we're going to have to do more than what we've done in the past. And at this time, I'll stop because we'll keep going and turn the mic over to someone else. Thank you very much.
Great job. And by the way, not only are they here, but they can still stand up. Class of 54. Anyway, coming up next, we have the class of 1960. And you probably remember him from, I think he came in 1976 as the basketball coach. And so we missed him. But there was definitely some pretty good players during those times. Mike Moran.
You know, I think I would have gave $1,000 to see the look on Coach Gutbrod's face when they announced that one of his former players, Bobby Golick, was representing a lingerie league or something like that. Coach, I don't think that existed back in our days, huh? Mike, and he was talking about rough and tough, huh? Yeah. I've also had the opportunity to talk to some of the kids in the other decades here. Coach had so many great teams. The 70 team, great one. Class of 70, 81, 82 are state championship teams, semifinalists. Greg Irby, what was that 69 class? What was their record? Do you remember? 10-0, perfect? Okay, just want to give those guys credit. You know, they say that maybe the greatest form of flattery is imitation. And what can you say if every person in this room has a Coach Gutbrod story, and everyone in here imitates his style, the way he talks and that. And I just think that says volumes about his popularity and what we feel about him. I was blessed to be taught by Coach. I was blessed to have played for Coach, to work with Coach as an assistant coach and a co-worker. And, you know, to say it had a lot to do with myself being a coach and molding my personality, it would be an understatement. And I personally thank you, Coach. He is by far the greatest motivator that I have ever been associated with. And I would think 90% of his players would all agree with me, for sure. You know, I used to love, and you know, back in our days, the 60s, where we had 2,000 boys crammed into a gymnasium, and Coach would come out there for a rally. And he's phenomenal. He'd reach in his pocket, pull out some piece of paper, claim it was now a letter from the star player of the opposing team. and he just received it. And then he would kind of look at it a little bit, right, John? And he would shake his head, I can't read it to you. Because it would cause such violence amongst the students and the team that he was doing it for our welfare. Of course, after I coached with him for many years, I learned that that letter just kept coming and coming and coming. Other thing, I used to marvel at Coach, later as I coached for him, at banquets. I think Coach Beto, Coach Straub, Coach Story would attest to this. Coach was a master. I mean, he would walk into a banquet. Now, at that time, we probably had, 80, 90 players on the team. He would not have one piece of paper with him and be able to say something about every player on that team. I mean, I'll be honest with you, though. Coach sometimes disregarded facts. He would make a statement like, Helsinchus, this guy made more tackles on third down situations in the rain than any player we've ever had in the history of this school. And then he would go on to the next guy and the next guy. And the thing is, every parent and every player would walk out of those banquets feeling special. His approach towards the game, I think we all knew. I think especially the guys that played in the 50s and the 60s. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, but back then, I think the St. Joe's, the Viking fans, felt that Coach Gutbrod's passing game amounted to the exchange between the center and the quarterback. I also think later on that as he continued to coach, Coach, I say that there's just so many great and honoring stories about you. But a good friend of mine, Coach Gibbons, when you assisted him at St. Edwards, he shared a story with me years ago that I thought was just a typical and a great Coach Gutbrod stories. Coaches at that time coaching the defense or the offensive backs, and he grabs Coach Gibbons, who was a former assistant at St. Joe's also, and says, Coach, I want to put something in this week. Well, Coach, Coach Gibbons says, absolutely, Coach, whatever. So they wait till after that session, go down to the office, and you guys know Gibby's sitting down there, and he says, what do you have in mind? He's got his pen in hand. Coach G looks at him and says, rage. He says, okay. That was it. And that was it. Coach, truly, I think you have redefined all your players' vocabularies. I think we have new meanings to nice guy, prima donna, mug and maul, and you nice guy. But you also have instilled in us some of your own personal qualities. Your dedication, loyalty, enthusiasm, and compassion. And I think because of you, we're all better people. And Coach, I say just thanks for being our leader.
Lingerie? Well, come on. Some of you guys wear it. Mike, don't put your head down. I wouldn't be involved if it wasn't highly competitive. And I owe it all to Coach Gutbrod. He made me want to be a better coach. I just had to find the right venue. Finally. The great thing too is some of the Mike was just saying some of the sayings. I remember the one we had. I think it was in 1975. In fact, we had a shirt made up that said, "Pain is fun in 75." And, well, I can't wait till next year. But, it was things like that as a young man, you looked at and initially you wondered about it because it didn't really make a lot of sense. Now, if he would have said, making the other people have pain, that would have been good. But again, like we've said before, it didn't really matter. Just as long as somebody was out there writhing and bleeding, that was some good stuff. Let's move on to the next speaker. It is the year's 1970s. That's right. And joining us now, team captain of the class of 1970, Don Daly.
Well, good evening, everybody, and I do need to be sure I clarify. I was a co-captain with Ed Desfinas, so we'll just need to make sure that we have those facts straight. Listen, it's really a great privilege for me to represent the teams from 1970, and as the other speakers have, I want to start off by acknowledging and thanking Coach Gutbrod for the 40-plus years of teaching and coaching that you gave all of us, and it's just it's a real gift that I think as we age a little bit and maybe get a little bit smarter, we recognize that you gave us a lot. So thank you on behalf of all of us in the 70s. These are some pretty tough acts to follow, so I've learned don't try to compete with the experts. So I'm going to just tell one quick story. The ketchup bottles are on your table. I've discussed it with my teammates. We do know that we did have a ketchup episode in our senior year. We were getting ready for the Euclid game. It was a hot September afternoon. And as Mike, as you relayed in your show, Coach looked around, saw that there was no blood, at least not enough. And sure enough, out came the ketchup on a hot September day with no breeze at all on the lakefront. So we walked in that night knowing that not only did we look like hot dogs, but we smelled like hot dogs too. And if nothing else, it motivated us to play, and quite frankly, we beat Euclid that year. One thing that all of us in this room share, we have a common bond, and that's something that is really a treasure, it's a gift, and that is to have been touched by the man that we're here to recognize tonight. And as my teammates and I thought about this evening and how important it was to do what we're doing, we also started to think about how do we pay this forward? How do we ensure that the Vikings of the future have at least an opportunity to be positively influenced by this man? And so after thinking that through and working with Brian Menard and his team, I am happy to announce tonight that with your help, we are going to form the Bill Gutbrod Scholarship Program. And that program will be designed to honor and show tribute to Coach Gutbrod. And let me just read a very short part of that program so that you understand the purpose. Recognizing the extraordinary impact Bill Gutbrod had shaping the lives of generations of students and athletes during 4 years as a teacher and coach at St. Joseph High School, the Bill Gutbrod Scholarship Awards 4-year renewable $1,000 scholarships at VASJ to incoming students or to current students who encounter financial hardships and who demonstrate key values that Coach Gutbrod taught, those being commitment to your school and to each other, leadership, the power of teamwork, and contributing to your school through meaningful extracurricular activities, including sports. So how are we going to do this? And Joe, I thank you for your comments earlier tonight, because it's up to us. It's up to us as the alums of this great school to honor and pay tribute to Coach Gutbrod. So each year, beginning tonight, we're going to have a limited and focused fundraising opportunity. And you may not be able to participate each year. We understand that. But our commitment to you is that every dollar we raise will be passed on to a student at VASJ in honor of Coach Gutbrod. And in fact, we will use those funds to help educate our future students as to who this man was and to the values that he gifted us with. And so as you leave tonight, I'd ask you to think about joining us in this great opportunity. We'll have some envelopes that, again, if you can take it this year and join us, terrific. If it's something that needs to wait, that's okay too. But I know that all of us want to join in this great opportunity to honor a man that has obviously touched in a very positive way all of our lives. So Coach, to you and your family, we are absolutely most gracious for all that you've done. And through this scholarship, we intend to honor you going forward. Thank you.
All right, open the wallet. And right now we've got my brother, Mike Golick.
What do you want?
Nutrisystem, dude.
P90X is paying now, so it's P90X. we were the early 80s. We were fortunate enough to be there for Coach Gutbrod's 200th win. And we have the picture in the program. There's the football with the 200th win on it. So we were able to share that moment with Coach, and I'm sitting at a table with a bunch of my guys from '81, and just reminiscing about the great stories. This is a great night.
Yeah.
You guys are all telling fantastic stories. I obviously got to tell mine on the air there, but I mean, what a night, and what a chance to honor a man that the thing for me, I think, that stands out the most is I get asked a lot going out and talking is, yeah, you got to play, in college at Notre Dame and in the NFL, the few teams, as a few people here did in here. And I get asked all the time, well, which coach was the most influential? And, they're ready to hear some coach at Notre Dame or one of my coaches in the NFL. The last coach I played for, was Don Shula with the Miami Dolphins.
Buddy Ryan.
Ryan, I try to forget that, especially the Rich Kotite years.
Dad
as well.
loved him.
Yeah. But people expect an answer, especially to a Don Shula, and I immediately say Bill Gurbrod. And people are kind of, your high school coach? I said yes. I say, he's a man that whether we went on to play in the NFL or stopped playing after high school, we took so much from this man, whether it was on the football field or what he taught us that we could take to life as far as teamwork and how to treat other people and how to be a good teammate. Now, some things you had to adjust. You couldn't make someone bleed in the office. We all know that. But his values, which were the most important thing, were passed on to us, whether it was going on in football or going on in life. And to me, that's the greatest tribute I think I always make to Coach Gutbrod is he is the man that influenced me the most at the school. I always talk about Coach Gutbrod and quite honestly Coach Story as well as two of the coaches that influenced me so much through the years. And I always say the greatest comment I can say about a coach is that I would have, another coach that I hadn't been coached for, I would have loved to have been coached by him. And I always say one of the greatest honors is to be coached by Bill Gutbrod. And I think everybody here, that's why we're here, and so many people feel that way.
Geez,
I know it's not a funny story that everybody's telling, but I went heartfelt.
Yeah, but you're funny enough.
Yeah.
Funny looking. I just wanted you to stand up. That's all. I mean,
You said come up here. Did he not say come
I
up
wanted
here?
them to see you.
Coach
That was-
Restifo, did he say come up here? He
Coach
said come up
Restifo,
here.
Coach Restifo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coach Bayduk over there, 36 wide delay. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, wait. Take our picture. Take our picture. I want to show my mom that I wore a tie and he didn't.
And I want to show my mom, take another one, that I'm taller than him.
She knew that. It always comes down to that. Mike. Yeah, right. Well, there's three brothers. Me, our middle brother Greg, who was doing the father thing today and follow his daughter down to Columbus for a volleyball tournament, just hating the fact that he's not here. But Greg and I were a little bit different than Mike. We were able to grow beards. We weren't sure about Mike's origin because, I mean, even when he saw us with the beards and he started trying to grow it in, it was just sporadic. So he's pretty much kept clean shaven, and that's why Mom likes you best. Jeez. Anyway, let's get on to the class of 1981. I'll remember that now. The class of 1980s. Joining us from the class of 1988, Bob Mullen. Oh, crap, now they're all looking younger. That was okay when the old guys were coming up.
Thanks, Bob. So how tough of a job is it to follow the Golick brothers? How about that? But we're here tonight obviously because of you, Coach, and it wasn't what we took from you, but it was what you gave us. And throughout the decades, we have so many people, not just players but students. There's students here that didn't play for you, Coach, and it was because we were so gifted and lucky to have you as not just a great coach but a great teacher. I do want to thank my classmate Mike Romeo for working tirelessly to get this whole thing together, and so I'd like to give him a round of applause. Great job, Mike. I'm just going to throw this out there to see if I can get a reaction. I was lucky enough to play for Coach Gutbrod and the greatest football team that he ever put on the field. Come on, 88. Huh? Well, it's a joke that I go back and forth with my good friend Kevin Flint over there from the class of '70. He obviously has his claim to fame with his group, being undefeated for 4 years. But, it's the pride that we all have that creates these discussions. And some of them are bar side, some of them are pool side, who knows where they take. But, there's a lot of classes, including a group that won a football title in the 80s. And I'll kind of accept a little, since I'm speaking for the 80s, but actually the class of 90 winning a crown. So, but we were fortunate to play for such a great coach. At this time, I'd like the class of 88 that's here today to stand up and just be acknowledged. I appreciate you guys coming here to support the 80s group and myself. Please stand up real quick, guys. Class of 88. Thank you, guys. A couple of stories. It's only fitting that we move on to the stories, and I've got just a couple. This will probably get Coach's pulse going just a little bit. Youngstown Cardinal Mooney. Always a tough football program, and they always ran their option. And Coach had 2 cones set up, and he's like, "Guys, you got to get to these cones. This is where their 0 men are going to be, and the collision has to take place right here." So we're trying to run, we're trying to get the Bandit squad, which is our JV team, running the option against us. And, I think they gain yardage on us. And Coach goes ballistic. He takes the cones and he throws the cones in the air. And he's like, "You got to get here." And he goes like this. Oh, guys, these guys are very good. They're very good. They're fast. They're well coached. You don't get it. You got to get here. So we're, the rest of the guys are in stitches. We're watching all this go down. And we're like, oh, man, a classic coach moment. Another one is, back in the late 80s, you got the supersized era of foods. And this is when, the big box stores came out. And, of course, Sam's Club's got a torpedo-sized ketchup bottle about that big. All right, so we're all getting to the ketchup jokes. And this bottle Coach brings in is about, it's all as a torpedo. So he's not happy with the draw rate of blood. And like Mike said on air, it didn't matter whether you made them bleed or you were bleeding, as long as somebody was bleeding. So we're not creating enough blood. And Coach goes into our huddle during practice, and he's like, if you can't bleed, if you can't draw some blood, then I'm gonna make you bleed. And he pops the bottle, and the ketchup squirts way up in the air, and we all think, okay, we're out of the woods, and then eventually just comes raining down on us. The whole huddle is just totally getting littered and rained on with ketchup. And, of course, mixed with soil and dirt, it's the worst smell you could. I think some of the guys here know it. It's so raunchy just to have the ketchup and the sweat and the dirt all over you for weeks on end during triple sessions. Third story. Now, this is after Coach's days at St. Joe's, and he's actually helping out with Tommy Lombardo. And, week one, Lake's playing Euclid, and Coach takes the time to talk to the kids before the game. And Lake's got Euclid, it's week one, and he says, if I recall, these guys just don't like to get hit. Yeah. And of course, he goes into a tirade and gets the kids all fired up, and they go out on the field and they beat Euclid. And we all share these great stories. And there's one final story. We talk about the beach, and let me assure you, it's not a beach. At best, it's a cliff with a few landings. So we're on the practice field, if we want to call it that, rough patch of grass, and Elvis Gurbrod, the starting quarterback, throws an out pattern to Paul Suber along the lake, and Paul runs it a little bit too wide, and he goes up, and he goes over the cliff, and he's gone. He's gone. You can't even see him. The whole team's like this, trying to look over the cliff to see where, if he's doing okay. And the coach, he goes, get the ball! So, thank yous also have to go out to a steep tradition. And we owe it to the groups of the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. Without their creating such a winning atmosphere at the school, we don't have the opportunity to play football for such a great tradition. And I do think that, in any sport, the kids have to buy in. And obviously the teams from the 50s, 60s, and 70s completely bought into Coach G's philosophy. So I thank you guys for playing hard for Coach. I feel like we owe it at this point, and I feel obligated with the pride that I have for the school and the kids that I coach here. I'm the wrestling coach. We owe it to Coach and everything that he started and everything that some of you guys did to talk a little bit about the current situation and where we're heading in the future. And I just want to throw it out there that the guys that are here tonight, we respect so much that you're making an effort to celebrate the great coaching career that Coach put forward. And I just want to make sure that we do our best to carry it forward. So, efforts will be made in the future to contact you, to give you every opportunity to get involved so that we can continue to give the kids of today and tomorrow the great experience that we had playing for you, Coach. In closing, we're all here because we had a great experience. And it wasn't just on the field, but it was off. And that's why we're all celebrating here tonight. Win, lose, or draw, Coach was busy for so many years creating the winners of tomorrow. And I think that's what we're really here to celebrate, the fact that Coach put so much of his life into creating winners on and off the field. So on behalf of the 80s brotherhood and family of students, players, cheerleaders, fans, parents, we thank you, Coach Gutbrod, from the bottom of our hearts from a wonderful and positive experience that will last a lifetime. Thank you.
Let's go to the class of 1990. And I don't know how to do this. There were certain teams like Chanel that you took a deep breath and a sigh and paused and said, okay, play some football, but we should be okay. And then there were other teams, like the team that wore green and yellow. By the way, it wasn't gold, it's yellow. Like the Steelers. The hell's that? We're black and gold. It's yellow. Notre Dame's helmets are gold. Your uniform's yellow. But St. Ed's, oh yeah. I know there's Steeler fans in here. Bandwagon jumpers. But St. Ed's obviously was our big rivalry. I think probably pretty much through all the classes. I know they were for us anyway. And right now we've got the head coach at St. Ed's coming up. Actually was in the class of 1991, Rich Finati.
Thanks, Bob. I really appreciate it. It's a pretty humbling experience being up here in front of you guys, and it's a little breathtaking, so to speak. Coach Gutbrod has meant so much to all of us. We have something in common. Just last year, when I first got hired, I ran into Joe Topoli. He was coaching track. And the first thing we talked about and gravitated towards in our conversation was Coach Gutbrod and all the things that he instilled in us, our players, and how we put those into our programs. So, Coach, not only is he a Hall of Fame coach, he's a Hall of Fame human being. So, Coach Gutbrod, thank you for everything. Representing the last class in Coach's career at St. Joe's, it was an honor to come speak on behalf of the class of 91 and the era of the 90s. One thing I'd like to do before we get going, all the guys at the class, I was a junior on the state championship team. All the guys that are here tonight from the state championship team, if you could stand up, from 1989, class of 90, 91. Give these guys a round of applause. Being a junior on a team, I learned a lot from the class ahead of me. We went through a stretch where we lost a few games and we had to regroup. And regroup we did. We had some outstanding coaches that influenced our lives, and we were able to pull it together and go on a great run and bring the school the first state championship in the school's history. So it was a great time. Also, too, there's a couple guys that often get overlooked. And when you talk about from a coach's perspective like I am, you go back and revert. I was a 36-year-old head coach, and I'm thinking, where am I going to go from here? How am I going to build this program? And the one thing that always gravitated to me was to a few guys. I'd like to honor them tonight in addition to Coach Gutbrod. If Coach Story could stand up. Coach Tom Shane. Ron Bayduk. Is he here? The Duke? Dude. You know, these guys have really comprised the varsity staff for us. And we had a lot of other guys on staff that were great mentors to us. We had Shadow, I don't know if he's here, Coach Webb. We had a lot of guys. Where's Coach Webb? He's in the back. You know, for us, in winning that state championship, we always have that common bond, but the bigger bond amongst us all was playing for Coach Gutbrod. And the one thing that I always tell everybody was not only was he a Hall of Fame coach, a great man, but he was also the greatest coach of all time. And I truly believe that. I've been around a lot of coaches. I've been around to different parts of the country, and this is the best coach of all time right here. And he was the best coach of the greatest school in history. I believe St. Joe's is one of the greatest schools, if not the greatest school of all time. So, you know, we got to put our efforts to do what we can to put this school forward and and it all starts right here with this guy right here. So I don't want to take a lot of time because I know everybody wants to have contact with Coach, and they deserve the right to spend some time with him. But one of the things you got to understand, one of the things that's a vivid remembrance of me was not only all the great locker room speeches, the motivation, seeing him in the classroom, on the football field, is seeing Coach often at Sunday Mass at St. Jerome's and on holidays and at Christmas time and Easter and on Sundays, and always having a warm smile, a hug, an embrace, asking how the family's doing, and just bringing back some of those memories of, we didn't have to say too much, you just knew it. It was silent, and you thought back of all those things that hit you. He was a legend to us in our household. Our family was from Dayton, so my grandfather was around the era when Coach was at Dayton, and there was a big bond there. So my dream was always to play for Coach Gutbrod. And I was able to do that, and I wasn't that good, but the one thing that I was very happy and proud of was to be in his presence for 4 years. He has molded me, and these coaches that stood up have molded me beyond anybody else could and will have. So I love you guys, all the coaches, the assistant coaches, the players, and what you've done for me and all the players in the past is tremendous, and it's an honor to come up here and represent the 90s and just share a little bit about how much we love you, Coach. Thank you for everything. Thanks, Ace.
So suffice it to say that St. Ed's would be nowhere without St. Joe's. Howard who? Yeah. Anyway, right now we've got a second video that was put together. This one's kind of a little bit of it's been edited down for kind of like Notre Dame games on Sunday mornings. Moving on to the next action, which is in the third quarter. This is a video of the 1989 halftime in the locker room, second half highlights and post game. So you get a little flavor of what it's like to live under Bill Gutbrod.
Unbalanced left. Miller on the option. He has a seam. He couldn't go away. Tony Miller is going to go 50 yards. St. Joe's takes the lead. Here's Fostoria just inside the St. Joe's 30. Play action by Kidwell. Macbeth with a nice grab. Cuts outside. 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Fostoria has tied the ball game at 7-7. Woodfolk in motion. And Miller has fumbled the football, and Fostoria recovers. Macbeth powers into the end zone. And the Redmen leading by a 14-7 count to Fostoria. First and 10 at their own 44. Kidwell on the bootleg. Picked off by Nigel Pickett. He's second and 10. Miller going to Stevers. Double pass. He's throwing the ball deep downfield, and it is picked off. Picked off by Aaron Hampton. The Fostoria Redmen, with 2 second quarter scores, lead the St. Joe's Vikings from Cleveland 14-7.
Standard Brockton. That's it. That's yours. Standard Brockton. We're out hustle. Period. Well, from here on in, guys, every play is big. You've got to come up with a big play. Defense has got to get us the ball. Got to keep punishing this guy. It's the only thing he understands. Tackle the ball. Defense has got to score, too. We're right there. With mistakes. I know you're playing your heart out. There's no complaint about that. Everybody's doing the job. This is great football. Great football. That's why these teams are here. Because it's the best in Ohio. Basics. Tackling, blocking. That's about what it is.
Going beyond that right now, you guys. We gotta get crazy out there. We gotta kill these kids. We gotta go out and hit them and beat them, strip the ball, and go get them. There's no goddamn tomorrow.
The opportunity is going to come. Just keep working. Get your communication there. You know, the guy's carrying the ball just like we knew he was going to. We just got to punish him more. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Lady Victory, St. Joe. Let's go!
They'll probably fake inside this time. 2nd down and 8. Kidwell option, bad pitch, a turnover, Jones touchdown. No, they say yes, touchdown. I thought for a second they were going to say Bruce Lighty bounced in, but give the touchdown to St. Joe's. Well, you're talking about wanting to do things to get yourself back in a ball game. How about a turnover score in the first 40 seconds? Forfall story. We'll get a report on the injury to Casey McBeth after the punt. Good kick into the wind by Kidwell. Fielded at the 35-yard line and running up the sidelines with blockers in front of him. He's caught. Brian Brown is going to go all the way. Touchdown, St. Joe's. Brian Brown. A 65-yard punt return. It's an emotional day for St. Joseph's. They were down 14-7 at halftime. They have come out smoking in the 3rd period. The fullback, Hernandez, is stopped. Oh, what a play. Making the hit. Play action to Macbeth. Kidwell gets out of one man's grasp and throws it deep downfield, and it is picked off. Intercepted. Brian Brown intercepts the football. After 40 years of coaching football on the east side of Cleveland, Bill Gutbrod will win his first state championship. The Cleveland St. Joseph Vikings, the Division II champions in the state of Ohio, 21-14. The St. Joseph Vikings, with great defense in the second half, coming up with big plays, bending but not breaking, have given Bill Gutbrod a most emotional victory in his 40th year as head coach. Bill Gutbrod winning his 267th victory with the St. Joseph Vikings. And you know where this one will rank, right up on top.
I'll tell you, this is a great feeling. I'm so happy for the school and the community and all these kids, the 40 years that have been working for this, and it is a great feeling. Notice some tears on the sidelines after the game? Well, there were a lot of tears. There still are.
Great. As if I don't have to worry about 200 victories and 4 years undefeated. Now we got a state championship. Hey, 75. Pain is fun in 75. We'll always have that. Wish I still had the shirt. Anyway, and I do want to say this. It's very, a little bit different. Back when we played, and I know when the guys who were older than me played, we didn't have the horn. on the side of the helmet. We just had the blue helmet. And well, let me put it this way. I know that my brothers, Greg and Mike, were coming up through St. Joe's after me. And I started thinking, well, hopefully they'll try and emulate a little bit. So when Mike showed up, he wore my number 88. Which why the hell an offensive guard and linebacker would wear 88, I have no idea. But it was nice. Now, jump forward about 20 years, and they were having, I think it was the first year they were inducting people into the St. Joe's Hall of Fame, and I was honored enough for them to put me in. They gave me this big picture, and they had a sketch of this player running, and he had a horn on the side of his helmet. I'm going, that's Mike. I started you off, man. Anyway, and by the way, we were talking about Coach Story. I want to say this, and I maybe it's not the right time to do it, Coach Story, but I thought I was special. You hug everybody. After the state championship in '75, I came to the side of the mat, and Coach picked me up, gave me this giant hug, and held me up in the air, and I thought, that's so special. I just saw him hugging Coach Gutbrod, and Coach Gutbrod deserved a hug, I'm sure, but I'm sorry, it's just one of those things that just hit me funny today. I'm still special though, Coach, right? Speaking of Coach Story, right now, we're going to have Coach Story come up and do a little presentation. Could you talk to my son about wrestling? I came to the side of the mat, and I went to hug him, and well, there's a wrestling background. He dropped his hips, he grabbed me, and he lifted me up in the air. And I'm excited. I can't believe I'd won. And all of a sudden, I feel like I'm being carried around. This is just weird. I mean, you're not supposed to be carrying a heavyweight around, but absolutely amazing times. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to lead into Coach Gutbrod in his remarks. But before I do this, you never do this thing by yourself. And I want every coach that's here tonight, that's been on our staff with Coach through all those years, to come up here right now with me. So coaches, get up here. Every one of you, get up here. You guys have to be recognized. We've heard a lot of the stories, and we're going to hear some more, I'm sure, and you're relating to one another, but I'm sure the ladies are a little bit taken back just they hear the blood and violence and rage and knock them apart, and Tommy had a very strong speech at halftime. But do you really want to know the background of where's the blood from? How many of you know the background? Bobby does, because I told him. Okay? Coach and I used to meet at Gus's. Tried to get together once a week. And you have to go back in our history. He's in a very small group right now. There's 10% of Americans. There were 15 million Americans in arms at the end of World War II. He's in the 10% now, surviving in our country. If you've ever seen the Band of Brothers is the 506th. Coach's unit is the 517th. So if you've seen the Band of Brothers, you saw their battle in the Bulge. Coach was there for 30 days in the Battle of the Bulge. I know we reminisce about football and so on, but I think it should be brought out the historical things that he has been part of and what he was able to survive. How many times did we hear that as players and coaches? We have to survive. And he did. But where's the blood? I mean, he saw the worst of man, he saw the best of man. And I asked him one day, Coach, where does this come from? But, you know, people are concerned, not the players so much, but maybe a parent or two is concerned. He said, John, you know, in training, you saw the training on the Band of Brothers, but you saw they go through a rugged training. The paratroopers were an elite unit. They would train, for all you've been in the military, you went through your basic. At the end of the day, your problems, you get cleaned up, you get new fatigues on, you kind of mill around with your guys out in the yard and so on, and you're on the company street. So if you're in A company and B company is the next block over, we'd be talking and your DI would come up to you and he'd say, hey, Webb, Schaffner, Vogel, go over there to B company, start a fight. And you did what you had to do. DI said we go over and start a fight. That's what we did. And what the DI obviously was getting these guys ready to do is follow orders. You're going to be blooded, you're going to fight, and hopefully you'll survive. So you went over to the next street, the company, you went up to 4 or 5 guys that were pretty much doing the same thing, hanging out. Said something derogatory, that was it. The fight was on. You blooded them, they blooded you. The fight was over, you come back to your company, your DI would come up to you. What do you think he said? Where's the blood? And you had to show him. That's what it was about. The other instance, jumping ahead now 65 years, had the good fortune to coach with Johnny Gibbons over at St. Ed's. And Coach and I had the good fortune to be with him there. And it was Alex Boone was being invited to the All-American game put on by the Army. And it was the end of practice, and these 2 fellows came out from the recruiting command. They came out, and they were going to give the official invitation to Alex. So the team is all together, and they present the invitation and such. And then Gibby starts to talk about Coach and what he had been through and where his background was in his coaching career and his military career. And there's 120 some guys, and I don't know if all the young kids picked up on it, but one of the recruiting command guys was a paratrooper. He had fought in Desert Storm. He calls Coach up, he takes off his jump wings, and he gives them to Coach. The Band of Brothers. 65 years have gone by, and here's a paratrooper, one to the other. And there's a lot of similarities on what you guys are doing here. I've had the good fortune to coach with Coach 28 years at school. I've seen all the inside things like we saw on this film. Coach was pretty calm at halftime. You have to admit that. But I think the masterful part of it was to get our guys going on that. We came out of the locker room and we lined up in this little doorway before you go out on the field. And Coach just stopped, and the team was behind him. I remember standing off the side, and everybody was lined up in the tunnel there, and got to be about 30 seconds, and you know everybody's anxious to get going. And somebody from the back, it might have been Stevie Clark, God be good to him. He said, Coach, let us out. Bill just stood there. 10 seconds go by. Another one of the players, Coach, let us out. After about 3 or 4, everybody started saying it. Coach, let us out. He stepped aside, and out we came. And you saw the rest. The rest is history. Win our first state championship. Wonderful experiences. Had the good fortune in 65 to get that call, and I was a freshman coach in 65 with Tommy Bank, and had a great 27 years under Coach, as all these coaches at different period of time. And he's been a wonderful mentor to us all. And when we think about Coach, we think of nothing but great moments in our history, great moments with him, and enjoyed every minute of it. And Joe Farrell probably summed it up the best. You can ask a man for his money, and he'll give you his money. You can ask a man for his time, and he'll give you a part of his life. Coach has done that. I'd like all our players to stand. Everybody that's played for St. Joe's, on your feet. Our coach, Coach Gutbrod. He thinks we're all bored and we want to go home. Come on, guys, come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you something that's been with me for 50-some years, and it comes with expectations of success and could be failure the same way. And you think, well, I'm going to give it everything I got. I don't care. I'm going to shoot the works and prove to people where we belong and never stop. The attitude is probably number one. And number two, target practice. And number three, it's that type of area where kids enjoy playing. They really like to play the game. And they prove it every day when they go out in the field. So I would like to praise them, and we'll all keep together. Our target practice is very strong. So we want to prove that St. Joe's will never stop. We may lose once in a while, but we'll never stop. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Coach, stay here. I made a couple of calls and did some emails, and I called Des and emailed him and made him aware of what the night was and time and so on. He didn't think he could make it, but would it be okay if one of his relatives, I was thinking Tremaine was going to come. And I'm sitting at the table over there, and all of a sudden I feel a tap on the shoulder, and we're all very proud of this young man. Desmond Howard, come on up, Des.
Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. You're doing great. I'm so proud of you.
Get a picture. Get a picture.
Keep it going. Keep it going. All right.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. You can sit down now. You can sit. You can be seated. You can be seated. It's an honor to be here. My man, Coach Bayduk. Yeah, I know. It's like you said, this is Viking weather. What's wrong, Coach? I got the memo that it was casual, so I came like this, and I see Bob Golick with a tie on. I'm like, what the? Here I am, the best dressed man on TV, looking like this at this event for this man right here, because I got the memo saying it was casual. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's been a long evening. I enjoyed the stories from all the past players and coaches. It's special to see a lot of my teammates, Scott Zeile, who was the fullback who blocked for me. I don't go to the University of Michigan and win a Heisman if it's not for Scott Zeile. That's my guy. That's my guy. I watched Emmitt Smith give his speech. That's right, go blue, baby. I watched Emmitt Smith give his speech at the Hall of Fame induction, and I watched him give praise and break down when he spoke about the Moose and what he meant to him. And I was like, that's like Scott Zilli for me when I was at St. Joe's. A great fullback and a great linebacker. Bobby, who represented us, Bob Mullen. Tim Fink, one of the other guys who was up there blocking his butt off every Saturday, every Friday whenever we played. Tim Fink and my man Matt Eisman. Matt bailed me out in the St. Ed's game. That's all you need to know about that one. But I got you had your turn. Coach Ron Bayduke, it's good to see Coach Bayduke because when I came to St. Joe's, no one knew me. I came as a sophomore. So I didn't have that freshman class like everyone else had. I didn't know a soul at St. Joe's. So I was a pretty good JV tailback. But when I moved up to the varsity, Coach Ron Bayduke showed a lot of interest in me. And we went in our first game, we had a senior who was supposed to be a tailback. So it's going to be Scott Zealy at the fullback slot, a guy named Calhoun, or another guy named Carlock at the tailback spot. And then we ran the wishbones. And then you had another guy named Derek Hendricks. Well, Derek kind of tweaked his ankle. You guys remember this? So Derek tweaked his ankle. So Ron Bayduke went to bat for me. He said, listen, Coach, talking to Coach Gutbrod, he said, I know, you want to play the senior, but let's give this guy a shot. Let's let him play tailback and let Derek play linebacker because we all played both ways. I played cornerback and tailback, and Derek was a linebacker. So that game was the neighborhood rivalry. We were playing Euclid. So they gave me the green light to play. He gave me the green light to start. I scored 4 touchdowns at the running back position and returned a kickoff for a touchdown. 5 touchdowns in my game as a starter. The rest was history. And that's because of this man, Coach Gutbrod, and my man, Ron Bayduke. You went to bat for me. You're my guy forever. You're my guy. So when I say that's my guy, I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. I mean that's my guy. And I've been very fortunate to have some great coaches, but like it's been said many times tonight, the foundation was laid for all of us by this man right here. And Coach, you're not only are you loved, but you're appreciated and you're respected. And there are not many people who can boast that. When you think about leadership, when I think about leadership, heard Coach Moran, Mike Moran was the basketball coach when I was at St. Joe's. I never even knew you played football. Did he play football? Did he really? What? I never even knew Mike played football. He was a better football coach. He was a basketball coach. Now that's personal. That's personal. Was he? I'm gonna tell you this. He coached basketball with a football's mentality, though. I can vouch for that. But what Coach was able to do for me, when I think about leadership, Coach Moran, he threw out some adjectives. You think about commitment, dedication, sacrifice, and all that good stuff. But in my opinion, what separates good leaders from great leaders are the ones who first, they can pull something out of you that you don't even know exists. Now, he taught us sacrifice. He taught us commitment, dedication, all those nice buzzwords. But he looked at us and was able to pull something out of us that we didn't know we had inside ourselves. That's a great leader. Then the second characteristic is the desire to go out there and want to play for him because you're worried about disappointing them. I really was never worried about getting Coach Gutbrod mad at me, but I never wanted to disappoint him on the field. And those, to me, are great qualities and characteristics of great leaders, and that's why you're a fantastic leader in my book. You're loved, you're respected, and you're appreciated. This night is a very, very special night for all of us, and if there are any spouses out there, now you know why your husband's as crazy as hell, because he taught them. Coach, we love you, Coach. Really, really love you. Thank you for everything that you did for all of us. Greatly appreciate you, Coach. Thank you. Great job. Thanks so much.
And there is no truth to the rumor that I sent the email saying it was casual. I know that's been going around. And lastly, I think I have to say that I still like the Rudy story better than, I mean, Notre Dame's better than Michigan, aren't they? I know you guys are all being polite. Come on, am I the only one up here? I guess so.
The last two meetings, what was the final score of the last two meetings? No, I got some more haters in here. I'm just saying.
You know, it's how we played, not whether you win or lose. But you know,
I'm not even gonna go.
very much like Desmond said, though, and we'll wrap this up with this. There was, I know with all the stories you've heard tonight about blood and hitting and violence, that there was almost a feeling of comfort when Coach was there. Because as leaders go, as coaches go, you knew that things were under control. When he talked to you in the locker room, you knew everything was fine. We just had to go and do what he said to do. And a lot of us have played for a lot of different coaches in our lifetime. And very, very seldom do you get around somebody that you feel so confident in following and listening to that it just affects you for the rest of your life. And it's just amazing how you've done that to so many of us. And if you'll notice, too, most of the St. Joe's guys that played under Coach Gutbrod, when they played in college or in the pros, they never took themselves out of the game. Those guys now, these days, are all tapping themselves in the head going, I got a hangnail, get me out. But we liked blood. And we liked it all the way through college. We liked it in the pros. And at least I did. You did too, Mike? Yeah, okay. But thank you all for coming. Oh, yes, John. I mean, Coach. I was calling him by his first name.
We have all the coaches behind us here, and Coach didn't come up, but I want to recognize, we don't want to overlook Coach Straub right over here, Coach.
I thought he looked familiar. As we wrap it up here, just you'll know, and as Desmond said, all the spouses out there, you know now where we joke about the blood and the pain and all that stuff, but where the character came from. And it all started here. And I venture to say not many guys have played under or for a coach like Bill Gutbrod in their entire career. So thank you, Coach.
Personally, he was almost like a father figure, a man of strength, a man of integrity, a man of character. And, you know, as you know, when we started high school, we were only 14 years old and very impressionable. And, you know, throughout those years, I've always considered Mr. Gutbrod a friend. We've invited him to several of our class reunions, and he is kind enough to attend. But as I told him tonight, he made men of us. He made men out of us. You know, the young, skulls full of mush type. But and he was a man that you could look up to and admire. Yeah.
Well, Bill was we used to call him the drill sergeant. Very tough and dedicated to the game. And he brought out the best in everybody and had a great desire to win. And as my career went on, I used some of that to be successful in business.
The first thing we saw was the varsity team working out. And I said, oh my God, I am never going to make it. This was blood and guts football. Fortunately, I did make it, and I wound up being the captain of our senior team. And I look at fond memories of having Coach Gutbrod lead me through that whole episode in my life, which was wonderful. He was just a wonderful coach and brought out all the best in all of us. I really would not have had a good high school experience if it weren't for Bill Gutbrod.
You know, there's two guys in your life that really mean something to you, and that's your father and your coaches. And Coach Gutbrod was one of the best coaches that I've ever had, and I played through college and even college and everything. So in terms of his influence and my discipline, and you know, you get rewarded for hard work and how that carries on through your life, I looked at Coach Gutbrod as my second dad. We're doing two-a-days, and my brother was getting married, and I had asked Coach Gutbrod if I can have an excused absence from two-a-days. And he asked me, well, what time's the wedding? And I said, well, it's 10 o'clock. He says, well, you can make the morning session. And I said, okay. So I made the morning session, and I ran out with his permission. And when I came back, I was moved from first string to third string, and it took me a week to get back. And I was wondering what would happen to me if I didn't have his permission. So I know he was a disciplinarian.
The biggest impact that Coach Gutbrod has had on my life is the idea of being a scholar athlete. You know, when you were in school, you were supposed to be a student. When you're on the field, you're supposed to be an athlete. And you know, he also brought in the idea of being a Catholic gentleman and the use of Christian principles throughout your life. And he was an example to all of us. And you saw that with all the players right from the top to the bottom. Everybody had the same creed, and they went after the same things. And I thought it was very important for us, being young, how the emphasis was basically having your faith and trust in God.
But I think the thing is you remember about a guy is his religion. Meant the Mass and Communion, he probably still does every single day. And he really, I guess, kind of insisted on his players going to communion, Mass and Communion. And they did. They had Mass and Communion every day in the chapel. And we may have not made the whole Mass, but we got in there for communion, you know. And those are the things that I think St. Joe's meant a lot to me about. And Bill Gutbrod being St. Joe's. It was neat. It was really good.
I'm 60 years old now, and I'm still a coach, and I'm still using the same jargon, lines, philosophy that Coach Gutbrod installed in me back in '68, which is, 40 years ago. So what kind of an impact? I guess it's like maybe the same thing. He instilled in me probably as much life as my parents has. You know, as a player for Coach, I always used to think how he could look a whole group of us in the face and make a statement like, I know everybody has a Bill Gutbrod's imitation, so I use mine. I know you've been out drinking. I know, you know. And because of the deepness of his voice and the sincerity in it, you know, you just, as a kid, you wondered, how does this man know these things?
He was like a father figure to everybody. You know, he was bigger than life. Bigger than life. He would say things, and you would typically, the old saying about running through a wall. Well, Coach Gutbrod, you'd run through a wall for him. You'd do anything for him. He was like a god. He was somebody that was bigger than life, larger than life. A great man. He taught you so many things about life, about how to work hard. You didn't complain. You gave 100%. Those were not cliches. Those are things that you really needed in life as we all went on in life. And I think that helped everybody. And I've often said this, that if they had a state championship, back in those days, Coach Gutbrod would have had a dozen. And I firmly believe that. I mean, we had talent, we had people coming, a great coaching staff. We were on a roll, a big roll.
Yeah, well, I was coaching with them, and the players were struggling one day because the weather was so cold. And So we called everybody together, said, guys, it's that time of the year. We started out in real hot weather, and we overcame that. Now we're really in the really cold weather, but the game will be played under these same circumstances. So, we need to get it together right now. And a player asked Coach if it was the coldest time he'd ever experienced, and he said no, it was much colder at the Battle of the Bulge. What more could you say?
He had a tremendous, because that year, those years leading up to our championship, he preached 110%, giving your all, coming to practice, playing your games at your best. So going from that to college, I ended up going to Allegheny College in 1990, where we ended up winning the national championship in Division III that year. So he set the tone for me to be all I can be and play at the best of my ability, and carry that tradition of winning all the way into college. So when I left college and went on to work, being my best or playing at my best has always been part of my life. And I definitely contribute that to Coach Gutbrod.
Coach Gutbrod will always say, where's the blood? He will always say that. He always like, where's the blood at, And if you didn't have blood, then you weren't playing hard enough. So whenever I got some blood on me, I want to run and show Coach Gutbrod, like, look, I got some blood, Coach. And he would just say, well, there's your blood. And I was just so happy because I had blood on me, and I just felt like he accepted me because I got blood on my jersey.
Coach Gutbrod was my homeroom teacher, my gym teacher, and some days he was my ride to school. And I've always been grateful to him for those rides to school, because I was one of the kids who found it difficult to get up on time in the morning, and so often I'd miss the bus at the end of the street. So rather than wait for the next bus and be late, I'd hitchhike, hoping somebody would pick me up so I could get to school on time. And more than once, it was Coach Gutbrod coming in from Willowick. I lived in Euclid. He'd coming in Lakeshore from Willowick. He'd see me hitchhiking. He'd pick me up. And I thought, this is great. I'm coming in with my homeroom teacher. I can't be late now.
Coach Gutbrod has been a major impact on my life. Obviously, coming through my teenage years, I didn't realize the impact he would have on my latter years. But the things I learned on the football field with Coach Gutbrod, as far as being able to stay tough in business, in school, and in family life, and basically having a sense of stick-to-itiveness, and the ability to stay focused on the goal and not give up. That's pretty much the biggest thing that I learned from Coach Gutbrod.
Well, we were reminiscing with a couple of our teammates. We have ketchup bottles on the table. Most of us do remember that we had an occasion before the Euclid game our senior year, which, as you know, that was our big cross-city rivalry, where it was a hot, sultry day in August, no wind, and Coach decided that we didn't have enough red on our uniforms, and out came the ketchup. And sure enough, within a half hour, not only did we play like hot dogs, but we looked like hot dogs, and it smelled like hot dogs. So it was a lasting memory. But every time I reach for my Heinz ketchup, I think of it.
That's good. Coach Gutbrod's had an unbelievable impact on my life. He's taught me the importance of character and determination and hard work and teamwork. He's an idol to me. I mean, I came up in an orphanage, and I really didn't understand the dynamics of a father that could teach you. He became my quasi-father and taught me all the types of characteristics of a good leader, of a great athlete. He also emphasized the importance of academics, and academics is really the thing that allowed me to become who I am too. But more important, the character, the spirituality, the teamwork, determination. I can't tell you how blessed I feel to be part of Mr. Gutbrod's team and be part of his life. I will always be indebted to Mr. Gutbrod and Cleveland St. Joseph High School.
You know, in the high school years are those formative years, and I was fortunate enough to play in college and the NFL, but you know, to get that far and really get anywhere in life, you need a foundation. And what Bill Gurbrod, I think, meant to myself and so many of my classmates and other graduates of St. Joe's who play football for him was he helped lay that foundation. You know, your life is built on blocks, and if you don't have a good foundation, it's all going to crumble. And I think that's the most important thing. You know, there's X's and O's, but there's life as well. And he was able to kind of mesh both of them together. So whether the end of high school you were done playing football or you made it to the NFL, you could use the lessons he taught.
Coach Gutbrod taught us commitment. It taught us teamwork and being a good teammate. You're first and foremost always a great teammate, and you supported each other. And it didn't matter whether you were second string like me or a superstar like some of the other guys, D1 college recruits and potential NFL players. He treated everyone. You were valued to him, and every player, every person filled a need with the team, and they were all treated with respect. And he knew everyone by name, and I was always Reenie and this and that, and I can't tell you how much it just meant for me to be part of Coach's team and with the guys that were on that team.
Coming to St. Joe's, I think playing football, you learned a lot of discipline. In our age, it was an interesting experience. You went to see a coach who kind of told you what to do, you listened to him, and you had a good sense of respect with somebody you respected. And I think that's what life is all about. And I think he helped me a lot in my later career. He gave me a good sense of perspective. You can try things and do things, and sometimes they're not going to work, but when they work, they're really fun. One of my favorite lines that didn't come out today was, we're at halftime, and I think it was actually in the Euclid game, our senior year, and he goes, "Son, I want to see cleat marks up their throat." I go, "Oh God," I go, "Where's the blood at?" So it was classic Gutbrod.
Here tonight because I want to honor the man that did a lot for me. He gave me the opportunity to start my sophomore year, and I started my sophomore, junior, and senior year for St. Joe's, and that's why I'm here. I love the guy. He did a lot for me. His staff did a lot for me, and that's the story.
Hello, Bill. Joe Toppoli, class of '54, your first football team. Also the first class that entered the school, gave the school the tradition it has today, and I just want to say it was a real joy to have you as our coach, and we certainly appreciated the sacrifices that you made in our behalf, and it was beautiful to watch you go through and coach St. Joe's through all these years, and it was just, you're a fine gentleman, and we wish you well in the future. Thank you very much.
I'm Joe Juska, class of 1954, the first class to graduate from St. Joe's High School. We were there at the very beginning. We were just awkward young kids when you took us over and turned us into real Vikings. Coach, this goes back to 1953 when Joe Toppoli sucker punched me in a scrimmage that we were having. And I'm still alive and surviving. Coach, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to play for you, and you inspired us, and I'll always remember you, Coach. Thank you so much for all you did for us and the team and the tradition you started at St. Joe's. And I know it led to great football teams. Thank you.
This is Denny Watkins, class of '54, and I'm one of your first players. And it is very fortunate to know you, Bill. You were a big help in my life. And I want to thank you for everything you've done for me. Thank you again, Bill. Denny Watkins.
I'm Denny Watkins' wife, and I really owe a lot to the coach. He put a spirit into my husband that just kept him through an illness, and I just can't thank Coach enough for that. I'll always remember him. God bless you, Bill.
Mr. Gutbrod, Tony Hughes talking. I was one of the first you had on the field. You went a long way with you.
Hey, Vet, the Baron here. I haven't seen you in a while. I think the last time I ran into you was, I hate to say it, but was at a bar at Skinny's. We had that radio show. Anyhow, congratulations to you. I tell you, you're certainly are 100% worthy of this. You have a great night, and God love you.
Bill, back in the 57, 58, 59, I didn't play football, but I had him as a teacher, and there just isn't a more wonderful man than Bill Gutbrod. He was phenomenal. And I don't know if people are aware, but I think this might be the 60th anniversary of when he first started at St. Joe's. For all I remember, I think he started in 51, 2011, 60 years. Now that's an amazing accomplishment that we still have all these people getting together to honor and celebrate the occasion with Bill. We're so happy that he's still here with us.
And what's your name?
My name is Dennis Paulin, and this is a table from the class of 1959. And we got together with a reunion for 2 years ago, and now we get together on pretty regularly, about 7 or 8 times a year. It's really brought our entire class together. And so we're very thankful to St. Joe's. For all of us, when we look back, that was the foundation which made all of us successful. And there's no other way we can show our appreciation, and especially for Bill. I mean, you get people like him. I don't know if they have those type of people around anymore. I'm sure they do, but he was one of a kind, a unique man, a very, very special man to an awful lot of people.
Hey, Coach. Mr. Gutbrod, Peter Apicella, your neighbor on East 293rd when I moved in 5th grade. And if you remember, my brother Rick and I, we helped you guys move on the lake. And I'll never forget in 7th grade when we were playing for Willowick Muni, you told me I was going to be your quarterback. Well, unfortunately, I didn't grow, and my knee went out. And you had to remind me, freshman year, did I have my mother's okay and the doctor's okay to play? But neither here nor there. We loved you. All the best to you. God bless you and your family.
At Ash, 1960, Bill, I loved playing for you, and I loved coaching with you. Good luck to you, guy. God bless.
Hello, Coach. This is Dick Krakowski, class of 58. Enjoyed playing for you. Got a lot of fond memories. We'll always remember them, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Hey, Coach. Tony Hunter, 86, cornerback. Congratulations. We all love you. Take care.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
How you doing, Coach?
Brian, 92.
Class of 90.
Yeah, hey, we won state.
You
That's
know,
all I know. We
number
won
one,
state.
number one.
That's right. We were practice dummies when we won state, so
We're
it was all good.
tiptoeing through the tulips.
Yeah. Gotta be brutal. Gotta be brutal.
Bloody Sunday.
Sunday, Bloody Sunday. Was that an awesome day? Hey, thanks, Coach. It was awesome.
Love you, sir.
Bill, Tom Rebar again. Many, many fond memories. Remember 2 games in particular. Alliance in the rain. You got a little upset there with the referees when they wanted to throw a flag on us because we were late getting there. And St. Ed's, a snowstorm. They're great memories. Best of luck to you.
I'm Mr. Gutbrod, Tim Lestock, class of 81. Had a great 4 years with you and wish you all the luck and appreciate everything you did for me. Good times that I'll never forget. Thanks again.
Hi, Mike Boone, Coach. Great to be with you again, and enjoyed the years we had together. And thanks for everything you've done for us.
Coach, Jim Fiorda, I love you a lot, and I would give anything to hear you yell, "Put the Mauler on again." So, stay healthy and live a long time. I love you.
Hi, Coach. Mike Rizzola. What a great evening here tonight for you. Bringing back a lot of memories. Great to have you back in town, and best of health. Take care, Coach.
Hi, Coach Gutbrod. Mike Zeely, class of 74. Good to see you again. It's been a long time. Congratulations on a very long and storied career, and good to see you again. Take care, Coach.
Hi, Coach Gutbrod. Terry Marcusa, class of 74. It's great to be here and just want to congratulate you on a great career and also thank you for being such a role model and inspiration to so many young people. You really are a heck of a man to be looked up to, sir. Thank you.
Hey, Coach. It's your old offense coordinator, Ron Bayduke. Hey, buddy. I'm with you. Bye.
Coach Gutbrod, Frank Trimboli, class 84.
And Ralph Godick, class 86.
Just want to say God bless you. You deserve this. Is a long time coming. Those are the greatest years of my life, and I'm really, really, very, very proud to say that I played under you. Thank you for all the memories. God bless you, and I hope another 100 years.
Yeah, good to be here. Good to see you, Coach. You look great. It was like memory lane. All these guys here. It's great to see them. It's an honor to have all these guys here in your presence. So, go Vikings. Take care, brother.
Go, 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 St. Joe.
Hi, Bill. This is Nick Restifo. Of course, I was one of your assistants back from 75 to 81. Started with Bob Golick, left with Mike Golick. It was great. First 7 years, right out of John Carroll, coaching with you. You taught me a lot about motivation, about working hard, and what it means to be a Viking. I've been at St. Ignatius for the last 30 years, and I brought all those lessons with me to St. Ignatius, and I've had a great time. And Bill, you were one of my mentors. I love you. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.
Bill, Pat Day, of course, I met you in line already. It's a great time and a great tribute to you. So all the kudos to you. Congratulations on your football career.
Well, Uncle Bill, congratulations. It's great to be here. Great to be back. We're looking forward to the event, and eventually we'll get up in line to talk to you, I hope. Thanks.
Hey, Bill, I just want to say I'm so proud and so happy for you this evening. I didn't really realize how many people would really be here to honor you, and it's so awesome, and I'm so proud to be your daughter-in-law. Congratulations, and God bless you.
Hi, Coach Gutbrod. It's Leo McCarthy. Your son Mike is spending the weekend with me. We'll be good. He's got a good firm bed, so he'll get him and Helen will get a good night's sleep. And good luck to you, okay?
Mr. Gutbrod, Gary Holsheimer, 76. I'm sure you remember me. I won't get into freshman year when we got sent home from retreat, or the Apple incident, or when your son cut my finger off when we were cutting the yard. Anyhow, great man. My parents both loved you. I love you, and congratulations.
This is Mary Ann and Claire Blakely. Hello, Coach Grandpa Mr. Gutbrod. Congratulations on a wonderful career and on raising such wonderful children and grandchildren. Ditto.
Coach, this is Jack Busher, class of 60. I'm speaking for our team and probably every team that ever had an opportunity to play for you. Thank you so much. I think there are a lot of people spread out across the United States that owe a great deal to you. I know I do. I know I do. Thank you again. Thank you, sir.
Jack and I were the co-captains of the 1959 football team at St. Joe's for Coach Gutbrod. Jack was a fullback and a linebacker. I was a guard and a linebacker. So we kind of paved the way for the greater teams that were to follow. But he was a great coach, and we enjoyed playing for him, and has done a lot for St. Joe's. And we're glad to be here to honor him in this great night for him.
Rich Cosmero, 1957, class of 57, long time ago. Hello, Coach. Good to see you again. It's been a long time since I played for you, but I appreciated the leadership that you gave me. We had a great season in our senior year. I think we were 7-2. We'd have won them all, but you beat us up so bad in practice, we couldn't do that well in a game. Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Coach. This is Paul Rini. I'm a junior, and just want to say you're the best coach alive, and where's the blood?
Coach, this is John D'Anato. I'm a junior this year, and I just want to tell you we're going to win states for you.
Hey, Coach Gutbrod. This is Anthony Sawanek. I'm a junior, and I'm playing quarterback next year. So our team, we're breaking face masks for you. We're winning states too. So
We're doing this for you, Coach.
we love you, Coach.
Hey, here's to you, Coach. Class of 55, Ed Bates. You showed me today that you still can have a terrific three-point stance. Good luck, Coach.
Coach Dan Sartor, class of 75. It was a great pleasure to work with you for 3 years as your statistician, and also you were a homeroom teacher of mine, and one of the best 4 years of my life. And I want to thank you for being a part of it. Thank you.
Hi, Coach Gutbrod. I just wanted to thank you for everything you've done for me over the years.
especially what you did for my work ethic. Thanks.
Coach, this is Don Daly, class of 70, and co-captain for the 69 team. Boy, I tell you, none of us can thank you enough for what you did for us. We didn't know it at the time, but you taught us some lessons and some values that have stuck with us all. I know for myself, it's made all the world of a difference. And I just want you to know that you've meant a great deal to all of us. And we wish you the best, and we're so glad that we can celebrate with you tonight. Coach, you're the best. Thanks.
Coach G, Gene Calhoun, class of 1990, state championship. I want to speak for myself and also for Fred, Steve, and Tom. We love you. We thank you for all you've done for us. You've been with us for many, many years now, and I'm happy to be here to celebrate your evening. Thank you.